This episode of Into the Wild West is a little different. Me and Keystoner are going to be playing some poker, going over our top 10 favorite movies. Which this list has changed multiple times for both of us, but I think I got mine pretty well narrowed down. What about you?
I do not, and it probably won't ever be narrowed down.
Well, do you feel okay about this list, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not gonna get any better, right? I just don't like it at all. You're gonna give me more than 10 is what I was, you know.
Alright, well, we can do honorable mentions afterward, alright? Um, so, we'll start. You mind if I start? You okay with that?
Yes, please.
Alright, number 10 on my list is a movie that I'm guessing is on your list, but... Oh, that's another thing. We don't know what is on each other's list. I put number 10 on my list as The Martian. And at one point it went off my list. It went to number 11. And then it went back to number 10 because I was flip-flopping it and The Dark Knight. But anyway, I chose The Martian as number 10. And I think the first time I ever saw it was actually with you. I think we went to the theaters and watched it. And I don't know, that movie to me is just... It's a really good movie. I love the whole... how it seems like it could really happen, even though it's very, very far-fetched. But the way it's told is in a manner to where it's believable. It's science fiction, but it's a type of science fiction that you could see happening. And I really like that movie a tremendous amount. As far as if there's anything that... I'm trying to think of anything that I would say I would do it a little differently. I can't really think of anything, to be honest with you. There's things in that movie that I liked even better than the book. Like the whole him going Iron Man thing, that wasn't in the book. I thought it made the movie better at the end.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, that's number 10 on my list. What's number 10 on your list?
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, that's a good one. When do you remember the first time you saw that?
Yeah, so I was at a buddy's house, Jeffrey Cavillo to be exact, and he had it on VHS.
You watched it on VHS? That's awesome.
I watched it on VHS.
So I'm interested. What's your favorite scene in that movie? Like, what part is you say that's my favorite part of the movie?
I don't know, I can't really pinpoint it. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's...
I can't really, the whole movie is good. I just gotta say the whole movie.
So there's not one part in that movie that you liked better than all the others?
I don't know. I guess the scene where T-Rex is chasing him in the Jeep.
Yeah, that's a pretty good scene. And it's like objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
Right.
So is there any part in that movie that like you didn't like?
Yeah, I guess the last scene it had to end.
You know, going back to The Martian for me, you know, I guess my favorite part is whenever he decides. I mean, that movie is just so good all the way around, but when he decides that he's not gonna die there, and he's like, I'm gonna have to science the, you know, shit out of this, and
Right.
I love that part. And as far as my least favorite part of that movie, uh, I don't know. Didn't really have one. Um, I guess before he decides that, and when he's kind of, you know, when that storm's going on, and or maybe this was after that, but when the storm's going on, and um, you know, he's got that tarp over that one opening, and he's kind of flipping out a little bit. That part was a little uncomfortable. I mean, it wasn't a bad part. It's just there really isn't a bad part in that movie.
It just made it more realistic.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, I forgot to mention that whenever I did. Oh shit! Sorry, still having COVID effects. Um. So your number 10 was Jurassic Park, you said?
Yeah.
Um, my number 9, and this one went up and down the list. It even went off the list at one point. I mean, you know how it is, but my number 9 is Avatar. And so that movie to me is so awesome. And I know the criticism of it that it's just Dances with Wolves, science fiction Dances with Wolves, which, I mean, the story's similar, but I mean, all stories have been told. It's just you have to do different variations of the same story. I love Avatar. I think it was monumental achievement in movie making, and it set a precedent. And you know how I feel about James Cameron. Everything he touches is amazing. And I don't know. I think that movie doesn't get the respect it deserves. Um, my my favorite part in that movie. I know what my favorite part in that movie is. It's when they're they're fighting that big battle at the end, and it looks like they are about to be defeated, and then all the animals on that planet join their side and fight. Um, you know, the military, and Natiri, she's like, Jake, Awa has heard you, and then she's like, Awa has heard you. That's my favorite part of that film. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a really awesome part, and um, as far as least favorite part, okay, so I guess one of the things I didn't like, I didn't really like Dr. Augustine's character, Sigourney Weaver's character. Um, I don't know why, but for some reason, I just felt like, I don't know, I didn't buy her character for whatever reason.
Why not?
I don't know. It's just like when she was like whenever you first are introduced to her and she gets out of the Avatar little pod and she's like, somebody, where's my cigarette? Come on, guys, we've talked about this. I'm just like, okay, you're trying a little too hard there. I didn't. That came off to me as fake, and I don't know. Maybe that wasn't her fault. Maybe it was, you know, James Cameron's script. I don't know, but to me, that didn't come across as genuine. Anyway, I just didn't like it. I always kind of roll my eyes at that part.
Yeah.
So another thing I didn't like is that they called the metal they're mining for unobtainium. That was kind of, I thought it was kind of dumb. Like unobtainium. Like, come on, come up with something better than unobtainium.
What do you want me to come up with?
I don't know. Creative, but anyway, So that's my number 9. You know, like I say, it went up and down the list, but I think Avatar is one of the greatest movies ever made.
You know, it was hard for me because I wanted to put that on the list so badly, but I can't. Like everything on this list, I can't get off. You know,
Yeah,
I can't just. It's incredibly impossible.
I understand, man.
So that one was on my list for like a whole second, and then I took it off.
I completely understand. Like, there was a point where I took it off too, but then I was like, no, it has to be on there for me. You know, but we're different. So,
Yeah.
so what's your number 9?
Dazed and Confused.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
Dazed and
surprised
Confused.
by that. I didn't know you liked that movie that much. I mean, I like that movie too, but I didn't know you thought it was your top 10 favorites.
You know, I tried to be as overall, not just based off what I like the best. I tried to be more retrospective, like overall the best movie.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just went for the movies that I like, top 10.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought about it too much, like I said. So
Yeah.
there's a lot more in-depth movies that you know the average person probably wouldn't pick in here.
Well, no, that's good.
Dazed and Confused.
It's your list, you know.
Dazed and Confused. It brought together what I think, you know, what's the best way to put this? What America should be like today, and it brought so much. You know, all these characters, they're brand new actors, and they're playing this role, and it's being shot in Texas. It's just the whole movie. I just tried to incorporate in my decision as best as possible. So that, and then you know, obviously I love Matthew McConaughey, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw Matthew McConaughey in there.
I know that's your guy. I didn't know that movie was shot in Texas.
Yeah, it was shot in Austin.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
See, learn something new every day. So, what's your favorite part of that movie?
Ben Affleck getting the paint poured on him.
Yeah, that's the awesome part.
The jerk senior.
That is the awesome part. My favorite part. That's not on my top 10. So, my favorite part is one of the lines that Matthew McConaughey says that I don't think I should repeat, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're gonna say. It's gonna be said from now on.
Yeah.
That's gonna be written on his tombstone when he dies. All right.
Well, so do you have a part you didn't like of that movie?
I don't really think so. I mean, it encapsulated everything. No, I don't have a bad part, I guess.
You know, the only thing now I'm just doing this because this isn't on my list. The only thing, I guess, the part I didn't like in that movie is you know, the one guy that I can't remember who he is. He's one of the nerdy guys, and he ends up getting into a fight. I didn't like that guy. That part. I don't know. I just kind of had a. I didn't like that guy. I thought he was miscast for the role, but everybody else was perfect. You know, that Mila Jovovich, Matthew McConaughey, Ben Affleck. You know, all them guys. You know,
Yeah.
when we were in high school, we used to watch that movie and count how many times the main character touches his nose, or the top of his nose in between his eyes, like that the little bridge part.
You know, that's a pretty big topic
Oh,
in the
really?
world now. Yeah. So they've actually counted that. They've actually like there's a blog about it.
Yeah, when we were teenagers and that came out, we would sit around and count how many times.
That's awesome.
So, um, so that's your number nine.
Yeah.
So my number eight, Back to the Future.
Mm. That's a good one.
Back to the Future is one of those movies that it doesn't get old. Um, it. I mean, what young boy didn't want a DeLorean growing up because of that movie? I mean, it just made the DeLorean super famous. Michael J. Fox was perfect for that role. The music was perfect. Christopher Lloyd was perfect. The writing was awesome. It was at a time when people weren't scared they were going to offend somebody. It was, the movie was just great and special. And it's one of those movies that's so good, you can't remake it. You can't do a reboot on it. It's just too perfect. And I don't know.
Well,
It was.
and that movie is so crazy because it was done at the perfect time,
Mm-hmm.
but yet it's a timeless movie.
Yeah.
So it's able to hit both of those right on the head, and it's perfect.
And I tried. So if I have movies that are part of a trilogy, I tried to pick, what I think the best one out of the trilogy is. And I like all three of the films, but I just defaulted to the first one. My favorite part in Back to the Future is at the very end when Doc shows up and he's like, "We got to do something about your kids," and Marty's like, "Doc, you better back up. You don't have enough road to get to 88 miles per hour." And he's like, "Roads? We're going. We don't need roads." And then they fly and take off. Dude, right there, that's the best part of that movie. And I mean, the whole movie is excellent.
Yeah.
Another part I really liked is when Marty goes and visits his dad in that suit, and he's like, "I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan." That part's awesome too. But no,
Yeah.
the ending's my favorite. We're going. We don't need roads. Um, trying to think if there's a part I didn't like in that movie. Um, no, I mean, I remember being a kid and watching it and getting really stressed out when I was waiting to see if George was gonna hit Biff or not. Um, I guess if there's a scene, I guess I didn't like, but I mean, you kind of have to have it. It's the scene where, they're in the car and Marty's mom is like hitting on him. That's super weird, but it's meant to be super weird and uncomfortable. So
Right.
you kind of have to have that in there. But I guess if you're looking for a part, I could say, I guess it's the most uncomfortable part of the movie.
I like the part where he's trying to.
Is this in your top 10?
This is not in my top
Okay,
10.
okay. All right, go.
I'm trying to think of how it's worded. I've seen that movie like a billion times, and I just don't know the wording. Um, he spouts out how many kilowatts it takes
Oh, yeah.
to run it. That's my
1.21
favorite.
gigawatts.
Yeah.
That part's awesome,
And
too.
the part that I really don't like is when he's up on stage. I think they could have done that better. They really made it to where that was really the fakest part of the movie.
Yeah. When he's
and
singing
I
Johnny
didn't
Be
like
Good.
that. Yeah.
You know, that was really fake, but I remember as a kid I loved it. But yeah, looking
Oh
back,
no, it was
it is
definitely
kind of
it
fake.
was definitely an awesome scene, but I mean, you go back and look at it now, it's fake.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I agree with that. Um, so what's your number eight?
Oh man, Gladiator.
Ah, Gladiator.
I could not I could not leave that off my list.
I
I you know
don't blame you at all.
I think the best part, and this is very vague, I think the best part is Russell Crowe. Like they could not have done, nobody else could have done that role, and he did it with such perfection that there won't be another role like that out there for anybody else. Like this, mm, that was amazing.
I'm going to not say much about this because it's on my list. Um, what's your favorite
Um,
part?
so so the like I said, the favorite part would have to be just Russell Crowe being the gladiator. Like it was amazing. I guess the chariot scene, when they're all huddled up together and he has to bring them together and say, look, this is how we survive. That's absolutely amazing. Um, the part that I really don't care for, even though he was absolutely stunning as a villain, absolutely the probably top two villains in a movie, Joaquin Phoenix. I did not like him, but he was just astounding with it.
Um,
So that's the
again,
part I didn't like about it, is because it was Joaquin Phoenix, and I didn't like him as a villain. But at the same time, it's like he played the best villain in a movie.
yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying, and I will elaborate on that more later.
What is your number seven?
My number seven is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Um, Terminator 2, I remember I watched Whitmer's mom got it for us on pay per view. So I watched it at Whitmer's house the first time. And I remember sitting in his living room, Sarah Connor coming on and saying 3 billion human lives died on Judgment Day or whatever she said, and then it showed the sea of skulls, and then the Terminator leg smashed one of the skulls, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And dude, that movie, I mean, it, there's I've read there's an argument out there that that is the greatest sequel ever made, and I mean, I know there are some actually have a couple of sequels on here that are higher than that on my list, but it is an excellent, excellent movie. And it was really the first movie that really showed off what you can do with CGI with the T-1000. It took Arnold, he had a chance to be a good Terminator. Linda Hamilton's transformation as Sarah Connor was phenomenal. The movie felt big. It felt like this, movies today, even big blockbusters, don't feel big like that. And I don't know, I thought it was amazing. And um, favorite part of the movie? Yes. I really like the part where they're uh, blowing up Cyberdyne systems. That whole part's really awesome. I also really like the part where Sarah tries to kill Miles Dyson and and Arnold and Edward Furlong stop her, and then Edward Furlong, John Connor, he's like show him, and Arnold cuts the skin off of his hand, and they're like flipping out. and then he like shows him his robot hand, and he's like, "Listen to me very carefully." That scene is awesome. It's super cool. Um,
Yeah.
Another scene I really love is when you don't know if the T-1000 Arnold or the other guy, the T-1000 is good or bad, and they both get to John Connor at the same time, and Arnold pulls out that gun, which Arnold's like a Guns N' Roses fan, by the way, and I don't know if you noticed, but Guns N' Roses did the music for that movie. Terminator 2, "You Could Be Mine" was the theme song, and in the mall he hid his shotgun in a box of roses. So he got he pulled his gun out of the box of roses and pointed it, and he said, "Get down," and that's when you first knew that he was a good guy. Um,
Yeah.
that scene was, everything about that movie was just so meticulously perfect. And I mean, that's James Cameron. That's why it's, the second film on this list that is by him. And there's another one on this list that he made. So, um, his attention to detail is just phenomenal. Um, and then, another scene that's great about that movie is the end when Terminator kills himself, when he's going down into the lava and he does the thumbs up at the end. I mean this is a non-stop action movie, and yet James Cameron still knows how to make you care about the characters so much. Filmmakers today can't do that. And anyway, I love Terminator 2. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Is there a scene that I don't like?
That was going to be my argument right there. Is um, the the um, the emotion that is felt
Yes.
as he is being lowered down
Yeah.
and saying goodbye, and then the exchanges that are felt. It's just amazing. And yes, that was actually my favorite part of the movie, unbelievably. Um, and something I didn't like about it.
Well, let me tell you what I didn't like about it first.
Okay.
Um, One scene I didn't like. I really, didn't like um, when Sarah was in the mental institution. That one scene where that guy licked her face. I thought that was beyond creepy, and I really didn't like that part.
I was gonna say that or this other one. Yeah. I didn't like who played the CEO of what's it called?
Cyberdyne?
The guy that, yeah, the cyber, yeah. I didn't really like him at all. Like his character. Nah, it's just
Really, you didn't like
I'm
him?
good. No.
Mm. I liked him. I thought he did good, but to each his own. So I take it that one's not on your list.
It was. It's not now.
Okay, all right. So what is your number 7 out of
Are we on 7?
Yeah. Right?
Oh man, this is so hard. So 7, I actually have Aliens at
Really?
7. Yeah. It's probably pretty lower compared to yours. Yours is probably at 2.
You know that you knew that was on my list.
I know it.
Go ahead, tell me about Aliens.
So, I mean, it's another James Cameron. What else can I say? It's James Cameron. like you said, the Terminator 2 was Terminator 2 is probably the best sequel ever made, but Aliens has to be number 2 as far as a sequel is concerned. And I actually think it's better than the original.
I'm not going to comment because it is on my list.
Yeah. So, my favorite part, I guess, oh man, there's so many good parts in that movie. What's his name? Hudson?
Yeah.
I love Hudson's character.
I do too, actually.
That's probably my favorite. The least favorite. So, the least favorite. Man, I don't even know. I can't say this because then I'm just gonna be saying it's bad. The fact that they left a little girl alive, I didn't really like that part of it, but it you know, they introduced this character and she was part of the story, but it made the story, it made it better. But I don't know, I just didn't, I guess that's the least part about it I didn't like.
You didn't like Newt?
I mean, no, not really. Anyways, number 6.
Alright, my number 6 is Jurassic Park. I know it was higher on your list, but you know,
Lower.
this was,
Or is it higher? Is
well,
it lower or
was
higher?
it was lower on your list. You know, this one was difficult because, so I was trying to think of, you know, because I love almost the entire Jurassic Park franchise, and I was like, do I want to put Jurassic Park here or Jurassic World? Because I like them both almost equally, but Jurassic Park was the innovator. It was the first one, and so I stuck with the original. You know, it was, Terminator 2 was the first movie that showed CGI, but Jurassic Park was the first movie that just blew everyone away with CGI. And I'll never forget the reveal of that Brachiosaurus, you know, when they first get to the island and you see it eating that tree. I mean, I went and saw it I remember, I think I was 13 and I went and saw it in theaters, and my mouth literally was just like open, you know, in awe.
Dropped, yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that Brachiosaurus, and you know, as time has gone by, I wouldn't say that's my favorite scene in the film, but there's 3 scenes in that film that I just absolutely love. It's very difficult to pick between the 3. That one, because it's the opening, the introduction to the dinosaurs, the Brachiosaurus. The scene, you know, where the T-Rex is introduced, where he eats the goat and you see him for the first time. I still think that scene, whenever he's, you know, whenever he's looking at Dr. Grant and Malcolm when they're doing the flare thing, to me, he looks more realistic there than even in the new films. And,
oh, definitely.
and maybe it's because Steven Spielberg, you know, is such a great director. I don't know, but he looked more real to me. And so that scene is excellent. The raptors have always been my favorite dinosaur in the films, and so what I always say is my favorite scene is at the end when they're about to escape, and the raptors surround them, and they're about to leap at Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler. And then one jumps in the air, and the T-Rex catches it in the air, like with his mouth. It kind of saves the day, and then the raptors are fighting the T-Rex as they get away. And then
Yeah.
that banner falls down. It says "When dinosaurs ruled the earth."
Yeah.
Man, that scene was epic. And I love that scene. I love those three scenes, but I think that one's my favorite. But it's tough. It's tough to decide. But yeah, I really I like those. You know, and this may come as a surprise to you, but if I had to pick something I didn't like, two things. There's two things I didn't like in the film. Number one, Dr. Malcolm. Even to this day, I cannot stand his character. That may be one of the reasons why I dislike The Lost World. I don't like his character. And so there's that. Um, I'm not a fan of Dr. Malcolm's character. And then another part I don't like is when, you know, they just see these brachiosauruses. You know, they're all, I mean, especially for paleontologists, that's I mean, it's the biggest moment of their entire lives. And then they go to dinner, you know, they see all this stuff that's their lifelong dream come true. And then they go to dinner and they're basically just bashing what John Hammond did. And all of them immediately. They're like, oh, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done this. And it's like, I don't think they would have jumped off that bandwagon so quickly. I didn't like that part, and it didn't feel real to me.
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Now, I mean, after everything went to crap, and you know me, I work in IT, and I always say, you know, as a joke to my team, you know, look what happens when you don't hire enough IT guys. Look at Jurassic Park, you know. Um, Now, when everything goes to crap, you know, I can understand why they would get off that bandwagon, but I don't think they would have said immediately, "Oh, this was terrible. They shouldn't have done this." I mean, they would have been, you know, like a kid in a candy store. Like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the history of mankind. So anyway, that is my number six. What is your number six, sir?
Um, we're on number 6 now.
Yeah, I can tell you really didn't make a list like I told you to.
It's changed so much. It's very difficult. Um, so my number 6, and this is, I'm not really sure which one to pick on this one. It's really a tight race. So it's Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna go with um, the third one over the first one. It's really close between 3 and 1. I just like the whole, you know, the culmination of this whole journey that they finally get to in the third one, and they're all off on their own. These little groups, you know, they're kind of just they're kind of doing their own thing, and still still doing the same number one thing.
Yeah.
And it's just the end the fighting, I guess the fighting scenes in it are absolutely amazing, and I love that the best. And that's, I guess the fighting is probably what beats it to number 1, but number 1 is really close to it.
So that's number 6 for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you didn't like?
I don't like Gollum.
Oh no?
I don't like Gollum in any of them. So
Really?
no.
Interesting. Well, I'm not going to comment because that's on my list.
Okay. So we're going to 5.
We got a lot that are on each other's list.
We got a what?
We have a lot of movies that are on both of our lists.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my number
So we're
5.
going to number 5, right?
Yeah. My number 5 is Gladiator. It's one you've already listed. Um, Gladiator, it was made by Ridley Scott, who I think is one of the best directors of all time. I still think to this day it was his best film. Um, that and The Martian are his two best films, in my opinion. Um, what I liked the best about Gladiator, I mean, you've already said, the whole movie's excellent. Russell Crowe is excellent. Um, you mentioned that scene where the chariot scene. That might be my favorite scene as well. I also really like the scene where they finally find out he's like an awesome fighter, and they haven't gone to the Roman Coliseum yet, but they're in that little Coliseum, and he goes out there, and it's like all these guys against him by himself, and he kills them all, and he's like, "Are you not entertained? Is that not why you're here?" I think that's a really cool scene. So both of those scenes are really good. As far as if I didn't like something, I don't know. As you said, I hated Commodus, but I mean, he's the villain. You're supposed to hate him. So Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job because I hated him with a passion. Um, so I can't really say that that was what I disliked, even though I did dislike him tremendously, but he did his job. I guess one thing I guess and this is just kind of weird. It's just me like hypothetical thing, but you know how they were gonna sneak him out of Rome and have him go get the army and come back. That would have been a whole lot cooler ending than him dying fighting Commodus. After he kills Commodus. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been as impactful, but I remember in the theaters when I went and saw it, I was like, oh man, if they're going to sneak him out of here. He's going to go get the Roman army. They're going to side with him. They're going to take over Rome. It's going to be so epic. That's what I was thinking. And then that plan got thwarted, and he has to fight Commodus, and Commodus stabs him before their battle, and he still kills him. It was super impactful, super emotional, but it wasn't the ending I wanted. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
So.
No, it definitely would have been a better ending had he gotten away. Yeah.
And came back with the Roman army.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been like the happy ending, the feel good factor ending.
That would have been another 30 minutes in the movie. It's already a long movie.
Yeah, you're right. So anyway, number 5 for me is Gladiator. What's your number 5?
So, like I said, this list is definitely not for the faint. I mean, it's just like
yeah,
we
did this again.
With this at all.
Oh well, it's your list, so it doesn't matter if I agree or disagree.
Well, you're probably not going to have anything to say about this one. So I grew up with this movie, and you have to realize that I was like 10 years old when it came out. Scream
Really?
number 1. So Neve Campbell was, in my opinion, by 10 years old, a bombshell.
Yeah.
So she was my crush as a child, so that made it even better.
Yeah.
And it just the whole, I guess I fell in love with horror movies with this movie. And then, I just started watching them from there. But,
I remember that movie kind of brought back horror movies to being popular.
Yeah, Wes Craven is amazing. You
Yeah.
look at his work, everything he does. I
Yeah.
mean, everything he touches is gold.
He did the Freddy Kruegers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like
the
those
original.
movies. Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, it's definitely not on my list. I think it's really cool that it's, it's more fun if we have different things on our lists. So I think that's cool. And you and I grew up at different times, so it would make sense that you would have some that I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Is there anything? So, what's your favorite part? What's your least favorite part?
Favorite part is when they're kind of going over the rules of what you're not supposed to do in a serial killer type scene, and then one of them says it. One of them says, "Well, I'll be back."
Oh
I'm
yeah,
supposed to say that. Yeah.
that is
The
good.
least favorite part, I don't know. I guess the least favorite part is the girl going in there, putting the camera in there, and then having a 30-second delay, and then that causes problems later on. I didn't like that part, I guess.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, she goes in there to the party and she puts down this camera in front of the TV where she can see everybody at the party, and then she slowly makes her way out of the house and she walks to where their reporting van is, and the other guy's sitting out there and he's watching the camera she just set up, and it shows her walking out the door, and he's like, well, you got like a 30-second delay here, so yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so you didn't like that part?
No.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
I watch the movie every time it comes on.
Really? That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. You've had two that are not normal, what people would pick, which I think is really cool. I wanted to put Crocodile Dundee on the list because I love that movie so much, but it just couldn't fit. Also wanted to put The Man from Snowy River, but I couldn't fit it on there either.
Yeah.
Number 4 on my list. Or are you done talking about Scream?
Yes, I am done.
Number 4 on my list is probably a movie that's on your list, Tombstone.
Oh, wow.
So, Tombstone to me is the greatest Western ever made. The story told of Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, their friendship is, awesome. I love it how that movie has this slow build up. There's not a lot of action in the first half of that movie. It's a slow build up. It gives you time to learn about each character, their history, all the little plot lines. And then when the stuff hits the fan, it hits the fan, and it's nonstop battle after that. And I got 2 favorite scenes in that film, and I cannot pick between the two. What's the best? First I'm gonna mention is when Ringo's waiting for Wyatt by the big oak. And he's like, well, I didn't think you had it in you. And Doc Holliday is like, I'm your Huckleberry. And then Ringo's like, oh crap, the look on his face. And he's like, well, Johnny Ringo, you look like someone just walked over your grave. And then they have that battle. That scene is epic, beyond epic. It's awesome. But another scene that is
It still gives me chill bumps to this day.
Me too, man. Me too. No matter how many times I watch that movie, still gives me chills. Another scene though that's really the same. And Doc Holliday's my favorite character in that film, but whenever they're at the train station and Ike is like, hey Maddie, where's Wyatt? And Wyatt goes, right behind you, Stillwell, or I guess Stillwell says it. And then Wyatt shoots Stillwell, and Ike's on the ground, and he's like, you called down the thunder, well now you got it. And he's like, he's like, Cowboys are finished, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me. That scene, dude, still gives me chills too, every time.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that is when, these guys are screwed. No matter what they do, they ain't stopping Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. It don't matter.
Right. The shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's on. I don't know. It's the best Western ever made, in my opinion. Is there anything I don't like about it? One of the things I didn't like about it is I thought that they really didn't explain Wyatt and Josephine's affair that well, and they didn't want to paint Wyatt in a bad light, but him and her had a full-blown affair in Tombstone. I just kind of glazed over that, and I think they should have done a little bit better job in explaining that they were basically together in Tombstone. It's kind of one of those, it was a secret, but yet everybody knew it type things.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I've always thought they didn't do very well, and I think they did that on purpose because they didn't want Wyatt to come across as a bad guy, but none of us are perfect, as we all know, and he did have a full-on affair with her in Tombstone.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my number 4. What's your number 4?
So, my number 4, I have it written down here. It's just, even at the very last second, I'm going back and forth. So my number 4 is Star Wars, Episode 6.
Return of the Jedi?
Yes.
Interesting. I did not see that coming.
Why would you not see that coming?
Because I knew you grew up with the prequels.
So was that? No, but I know better now.
No, I don't mean it as a bad thing. Honestly,
I will not. I'll be honest with you, and this is because I was 10 years old. But when Jar Jar Binks came out, I'm not gonna lie, I liked that character. But now looking back on it, it's like, God, he's so no, it's awful.
So, okay, what made you pick Jedi?
What's there not to like about it? I mean, the whole movie itself is just amazing. I can't pinpoint on one thing.
Do you have a
The whole
scene
movie.
that you liked over anything else?
No, I don't.
Really?
The whole movie's good.
Anything you didn't like?
What did I not like? What did I not like? Oh, man. There wasn't a whole lot that I didn't like about it. There wasn't anything I didn't like about it, actually.
Okay, alright. So is that all you want to say about Return of the Jedi?
Are you going to talk about it now?
Nope, I'm not.
Because that's probably like above me, right?
No comment.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Yes.
Alright, so we're at number 3. My number 3 is Aliens. James Cameron movie. You've already put it on your list. The reason why I put Aliens over Terminator 2. I put Aliens at James Cameron's best film. It's the 3rd film on my list that he directed. It is a straight military movie, and yet you still, most military movies, you have your squadron, and they're just nameless figures. They just go to battle. You learn you care about all these different characters. You learn different things about them. They differentiate themselves in different ways. Hudson, Hicks, Vasquez, Apone, all those guys. They're, and also it, Ripley. It furthered her character. Um, it basically took the premise of Alien, the first film, which was Ridley Scott, and then took it to 11. You know, it was so far beyond, I think, what anyone could have imagined for the sequel to Alien. And I don't know, it's just, it's another one of those movies that's kind of like Tombstone, where it has a slow build up, and then once it hits the fan, it hits the fan. And, you know, James Cameron, I think he changed the aliens a little bit. You know, because in the first movie, there was like a human skull inside the big skull of the alien, and James Cameron didn't have that, which I prefer the James Cameron version of the aliens better. And then he also created the Queen, and I thought that was really great. And I don't know, my favorite part of the film, um, I don't know, you know, my favorite character in that film is Hicks. Um, I really like Hicks a lot. But my favorite part of the film, I think, is whenever Ripley finds Newt and then she sees the Queen for the first time, and the reveal of the Queen, because the music stops, it gets really like dead silent, and you just hear the Queen's breathing, and it's just such an ominous, impactful scene, and I don't know, it just felt so huge, and I think that's the best scene in the film. There's tons of scenes that I think are awesome. Um, uh, as for what I didn't like, um, so one of the things I didn't like, is whenever they first come out of cryo. Okay, I know now. There's two scenes I don't like. When they first come out of cryo, and Ripley learns that Bishop is an android, she slaps the cornbread tray out of his hand. To me, it seemed a little overly dramatic. I didn't like it too much. Didn't come across as natural. And you know, that's the second time I've said that about Sigourney Weaver. So I don't know. I've always seen myself as a fan of her, but maybe there's things about her I don't like. I don't know. I never really thought about it. I didn't really like it that too much. Also, I didn't like that one scene where she's in the hospital bed and a chest burster starts popping out of her chest, like it's ripping her skin, like her skin is stretching. I remember being a kid and watching that, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I was not a big fan of that. So those two scenes I didn't like too much. One just because I thought it was a little weird, and then the other one freaked me out as a kid. But that's my third favorite movie of all time, Aliens. What is your number three?
Man, wow. Like I said, this list is just it really sucks. It really sucks. I'm having a hard time with it. So, and I don't know why I did it this way, but I'm gonna have to actually say that three is a tie. I can't give you a one on this one. I'm sorry. So,
That's okay.
Tombstone,
I'll give you this one.
Tombstone, Tombstone is right there, and we've already talked about that, right? So, the tie would be The Dark Knight.
So you put
Um,
Tombstone and The Dark Knight at number three. I'll give you this one because I
yeah,
kind of cheated a little bit later too. So
yeah. So, first of all, I just want to say that I don't care what anybody else says. This is my opinion. The Heath Ledger performance of Joker might be the best performance for any character out there in a movie film, in my opinion. I love his character in that movie. It's just he does it so well, and it's by far um, transcends that movie into a different realm. And um, then Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is amazing at anything he touches. So, um, and then I love Christian Bale. Christian Bale as Batman. Obviously, it's amazing. And Let's see what else. The least thing I don't like about it, I guess, um, the opening scene when they're robbing the bank, and then they have the bus scene where he gets in the bus and he drives away, and then all the other buses. Like I just don't like that part of it. That's not really realistic. You see all these buses leaving, and then you see this one that's got a bunch of dirt and rocks, and it's coming out of a building that just kind of blew up. Like no, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, people would have seen that. Um, that movie's not on my list, so I would say, um, that is one movie to, and I completely agree with you. Like Heath Ledger as the Joker is beyond phenomenal. That's one movie that I really like it because there's no wasted time in that movie whatsoever. Like piece of every moment in that film matters. It advances the plot. It it leads to something else. Um, the movie is just phenomenal, and it was on my top 10 at one point, and I just couldn't fit it. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's a great movie, and I never really thought about that until you brought it up. But that beginning where the school buses, yeah, I mean, everybody would have known. Okay, that bus was. Everybody would have seen it pulling out of that bank. It. You're right. You're right. That's
Right.
so. But yeah, good call on that. That's. But I am curious. What's your favorite part of Tombstone? What's your least favorite part? Since both of
Oh,
those are number three.
okay, so favorite part is definitely not going to be what everybody else's favorite part. So, Michael Bean, whatever his name is, uh, Terminator guy.
Yeah,
I
Hicks.
always know him as Terminator guy. I'm not going to know him as anything else.
That's Corporal Hicks. I mean, I named one of
Yeah.
my horses after him.
He comes out the very opening scene, and if you can watch that scene again, um, he doesn't shoot anybody. Let me finish. He doesn't shoot anybody in that opening scene. So he comes back to the table, and he's standing there, and they're all sitting around eating and enjoying themselves. And then he talks about the Pale Rider. And then, first of all, I guess I should say, he shoots the Reverend that keeps talking gibberish.
Yeah,
And then he has to recite what the Reverend was trying to say.
right.
He says it's the Pale Rider. It's this person that's going to come from hell, and hell's coming with him, and he's going to reap,
Yes.
evil. And when it just, I don't know, that scene there when they're showing, I think that particular part in itself transcends the movie just as an opening scene. I love his demeanor when he says it, and the way he says it, and yeah.
Cool.
Now the least favorite part,
I'm surprised that you picked the villain as your favorite part, but that's cool. I mean, I'm really glad that, you know, that it's different because I mean, I really thought that you would agree with me the Doc Holliday part, but I think that's awesome, the Michael Bean part.
yeah. So the I guess the least favorite part would be, I don't know, the her character as his wife.
Oh,
I
Maddie?
don't know. Maddie. She just does that so wrong, and her acting is wrong, and I just don't like her character at all.
I agree. I'll tell you though, I think you're not supposed to like her, but the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp movie. Now that wasn't near as good of a film, but the girl that played Maddie in that one was better, and also the girl in the Kevin Costner that played Josephine was better in that one, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Just a quick side note. I will have to say this. I'm sure you know this too. But that movie was run and directed by Kurt Russell. He was 100% that movie.
That's what I heard. Even though that, he's not credited with directing that film, he actually did direct it, from what I heard, and it was just like a kind of a secret.
Yeah, Val Kilmer has come out and said multiple times that movie would not have been made without Kurt Russell.
Yeah, and Kurt Russell was perfect. I mean, he was the. I've always said too that some movie studio needs to do a movie about Wyatt Earp when him and Josephine were in Alaska. And I mean, they could even fictionalize it a little because Kurt Russell is at the right age right now. He could reprise his role as Wyatt Earp when they were in Alaska. But
Yeah.
I don't make movies, unfortunately. Um,
Now we're at 2, right?
yeah, we're at 2. So my number 2, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm shocked this movie was on your list. But my number 2 film, I thought this was gonna be a big shocker, is Return of the Jedi. And so I was thinking, I was trying to pick, it had to be one of the original Star Wars trilogy films. And, forever, Empire Strikes Back has always been considered the best Star Wars film. But I've really thought about it a lot, and I decided that I like Return of the Jedi better, and let me tell you why. Luke Skywalker. He was the number one hero in all of film. I know Disney has tried to change that, but Disney Star Wars to me is a different alternate, alternate timeline, alternate universe.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker is the number one hero, and Return of the Jedi is his coming of age. It's him coming out. It's the culmination of the, most influential trilogy in the history of filmmaking. And I love Return of the Jedi. My favorite scene is it's probably when they're on the sail barge, and Luke, spins on that diving board and does a flip, and R2 launches his lightsaber, and it's the first time he sees green saber, and he just starts whooping everybody's butt. And then Leia chokes out Jabba. That whole sequence is just phenomenal. I also really love whenever Luke finally has this battle with Vader, and that battle with them two is very epic. And I would have liked to have spent more time on that battle, and had less, not necessarily less space battle or less indoor battle, because I liked all of those as well, but just more of Luke and Vader part. That was the most important part of the whole film, and so I wanted more of that, and that's why I put the Jabba sequence over that one, even though the Vader and Luke fight meant the most of all Star Wars movies. That scene, the Vader Luke fight, is the most important fight, and it's the most important scene in all of Star Wars. And Disney can change it to say Rey is the most important, whatever, but we all know that that's just political BS. So to me, Return of the Jedi is the best, my favorite Star Wars film. I almost said Empire because of all the obvious reasons. You really fall in love with the characters because of Empire. Vader really becomes the number one villain in all of movie history because of Empire. So Empire is super important film. It's a great film. It. And there's one scene in Empire, and I know I'm supposed to be talking about Return of the Jedi, but there's one scene in Empire when Han gets frozen in carbonite, and there's smoke fills up the camera, and for a second the smoke clears, and the first thing you see is Vader's helmet. That little shot is epic. But ultimately, I put Jedi over Empire for the reasons I gave. And, the ending of Jedi, when Emperor's defeated, Vader dies, Luke burns his body, and they celebrate, that is how to end this, to end the Skywalker saga. Not with this garbage where the Palpatines actually win. To me, the Skywalker saga ended on Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And so that's why I put Return of the Jedi at number 2. It's my favorite Star Wars film.
Yeah, I agree.
And I love Endor as well. I always thought, and maybe it's because I was a kid when it came out, but I like the Ewoks. I thought they're kind of cool. They're kind of goofy. And the speeder bike race in through all those trees was really cool. When Han and his group got captured by the Empire, the whole legion of troops there, then the Ewoks come out of the trees and start shooting those arrows. I thought was cool. I don't know. To me, the Return of the Jedi had everything. It had an epic space battle. It had everything.
Yeah.
So, what's your number 2? Sorry, I know I kind of go on and on, but
We're at number 2 now?
we're at number 2.
Good Will Hunting.
Really? Man, I did not know. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything, but I think I know what your number 1 is. But so tell me about Good Will Hunting.
No, you're not ever gonna guess my number 1. It's actually gonna be left field, and you're gonna be like, "What in the world?"
Okay. Well, let's go to Good Will Hunting. What do you love about that movie?
So the performances by both Matt Damon and Robin Williams, they just have a certain chemistry that feed off one another, and it empowers the film in such a way where it's all you need. They make it so the two characters themselves.
You talking about those two characters dynamic with one another?
Yeah.
I agree. It's excellent.
The chemistry between the two is just absolutely amazing. And then the storyline is they're both very troubled individuals. But they're able to come out of that. They're able to see what's going on and come out of that. I think that's everybody, right? We're all troubled at some point.
Yeah. Do you have
the bigger picture of the film? The least favorite, I don't know.
do you have a favorite scene, or does that count as your favorite, just their relationship?
The favorite scene is when he takes that phone number and walks up to the guy that's trying to eat his breakfast and, "How do you like them apples?" That's the best part.
What's your least favorite part?
The least favorite part, I don't know. I guess the teacher, the scientist that discovers him. I don't really like his character.
Yeah, I didn't like him too much either. I think my least favorite part of that film is when he goes ballistic and yells at his girlfriend to the point where she's crying. That part bothered me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he was troubled, so he didn't know how to react.
Yeah, he's got issues. So Good Will Hunting is your number 2, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I did not know that you liked that movie that much. I mean, I knew that I knew you really liked the movie, but I didn't know you liked it that much.
Yeah. What is your number 2?
My number 2 was Return of the Jedi. Remember?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was first on that one. Okay, my bad. So we're at number 1 now.
Yeah, we're at number 1. Sorry, the kitty came in here.
Wow.
I'm gonna get her out.
So what is your number 1?
Okay, so my number 1, I cheated. All right. But I think I have a good reason for the cheating. It's not a Tom Brady cheat.
I was gonna say, man.
My number 1 is The Lord of the Rings. And I know I've had to pick one of all of these, but that was filmed as one film. So really, it's essentially one movie, correct? I mean, it was filmed as one movie, then they broke it up into three.
Right.
Um, so I put Lord of the Rings as my favorite movie of all time. The the way it's shot, the scope, the feel, the magnitude, everything is bigger than any movie I've ever seen. Um, I to me it was an accomplishment unlike anything that's ever been in filmmaking before, and I haven't seen anything after. Even the Hobbit films can't compare to the Lord of the Rings. And trying to pick a favorite, I couldn't do it because, and the reason is because in the Fellowship of the Ring, for some reason, I love the the intro into where the hobbits live. Now I only watch the extended versions nowadays, but even in the regular versions, the intro introducing the hobbits to me was just done perfectly beyond like you couldn't have done it any better. Like when I first saw the theatrical version, I was like, I love the intro. You couldn't have done it any better. And then I saw the extended version. I said, oh, that's even better. I love the intro. When you meet the hobbits, and then in my favorite scene in all the films is probably the Battle of Helm's Deep in part two. Um, and in that battle, whenever all is lost, they ride out, and then all of a sudden Gandalf appears at the top of that hill with the Rohirrim, and
Yeah.
with the Riders of
Yeah.
Rohan. And then they ride down that hill in slow motion, and he blinds the orcs, and they go into that battle. That may be the most epic scene in all of filmmaking. All of filmmaking. Um, and so uh, I don't even have enough words to express that scene. It is so epic. But then also the ending in Return of the King is, you've taken this journey with these characters and you know them all so well. And the ending, in that, that scene when Frodo wakes up in Rivendell and, dang it, my phone broke. So when Frodo wakes up in Rivendell, Gandalf is there, the other hobbits, they're all happy, he's awake, they're jumping on the bed. And then Sam comes in, and Frodo and Sam look at each other, and they have that unspoken bond that you can just see. And it's because he went through this journey with these characters. That is like such a powerful scene, and you don't even need any words. You can just see by the looks on their faces how amazing, like, and how special that is. And then when Gandalf, not Gandalf, when Aragorn is appointed king, Arwen is there, and it shows all the hobbits, and they kneel for Aragorn, and he says, "No, my friends, rise." He says, "You kneel to no one," and they all like kneel for the hobbits. I mean, that's epic too. So I can't say one movie is better than the other because there's parts of each one that are just so well done, so perfect that you can't just pick one movie, and it's all filmed as one movie anyway. Um, if I had to have some complaint with those films, which I'm really reaching because they're perfect, um, I would have to say during the Battle of Helm's Deep, it keeps switching to the Ents, the Ent moot, and that those scenes really slow down that battle, in my opinion. Thought it was a little slow. Now, when the Ents go to war and they assault Isengard, that's awesome. But when they're talking, it kind of slows down the movie a little bit. That's my only complaint of the whole thing. But anyway, to me, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, filmed as one movie, is, in my opinion, the greatest movie ever made. That's number one. And it has been number one since it came out, and it has never changed.
Yeah. I mean, I love those movies too, but everybody's, and I like the second one too, but it's just, I think there's just so much more in the third and the first one. To me, the second one's just kind of like continuing the story.
Yeah.
Besides the big fight at the end, but there's just so much more material I think in 3 and 1.
Um, I see what you're saying with that, and that's why I say I can't just pick one. Because I mean, yeah, in one I didn't even go over them going to Rivendell for the first time. That's so awesome. And then when Arwen gets Frodo and she's running from the riders in black and she casts that spell that makes the horses come out of the water. Man, that's awesome too. So it's like, how can you pick one scene? How can you pick one
Oh,
film?
you got to.
No, that it was all filmed as one.
No, I'm telling you right now, you got to.
No, you had two at number 3.
Yes.
So anyway, that's my number 1. What's your number 1?
Oh, I don't think you're gonna agree with it at all.
I don't have to agree with it.
So it's my number 1 movie is A Quiet Place. Um, it is it embodies what a movie needs and has to have. Um, it tells a story so well, and it allows you to get to know the characters, and it starts out with, you know, sadness, and it shows the story of where they're going to get to the end, and how they start one way, and every one of them changes. It just I can't say enough about this movie. Like, for real, I sat in the movie theater, and when the credits rolled, I wanted to stand up and just start clapping because I thought it was just done so well. John Krasinski, is that his name? John something.
I believe
Anyways,
so.
that was his first movie role ever as a director, and you know he's kind of more like a comedian, right? He's done some drama, but he's more of a comedian actor, and that's how he got big from The Office, right? And for him to just step behind the camera and to do his first film in this way, it's listed as a horror film, but I mean there's comedy inside of this, there's drama inside of this, there is romance inside of it. There's these things that a movie has to have, and it's just, I'm telling you, it's done so amazingly well.
Man, I'm really surprised that that's your pick. I mean, I think that's cool. It's just I didn't see that coming. I really thought you were gonna say The Martian because I know you love that movie and it wasn't in your top 10.
I'm telling you, it went back and forth on all this stuff. That's why I said I can't pick a top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, The Martian is probably at 11.
Yeah. I didn't know that. So, A Quiet Place is your favorite movie.
I just, I just, I can't even talk. Yeah, it's done so well. The characters in this film.
That's interesting. That's cool, man. I mean, I really liked that movie too. I thought it was great. I thought it was really well done. So what, do you have a favorite scene? Do you have a least favorite scene?
Favorite scene is she has to go back for something in the basement, and the basement's being flooded at this point, and she has to try and stay quiet while this thing goes down there and tries to get her.
Ain't nothing changes but the day of the week.
You have a least favorite?
No.
No. You like the
At
whole
least there is it has the end.
thing. That's cool, man. That's cool. You're right. That was totally out of left field. I would have never guessed that.
You know what's funny too, man, and you're gonna think this is so immediately crazy. Like when you told me to make this list, it was a no-brainer. Like I had no thought of a different movie. Like that's number one in my book, hands down.
That's awesome because Lord of the Rings was like that for me. Like hands down, that was number one.
Like I knew where I needed to start from because it was gonna be number one.
That's cool. So what are like we don't have to go into depth on them, but what are some of your honorable mentions?
Well, see, I had it. I had it all written down, but now I don't.
That's okay. Well, for me, The Dark Knight.
The Martian.
Well, The Martian was on my number 10, but yeah, The Martian's definitely for you. The Dark Knight is an honorable mention for me. Top Gun was in there. I was trying to figure out a place for that. Crocodile Dundee, Predator, those movies I like quite a bit. So.
I will tell you one that you're probably not gonna. And I really wanted to put this like highly up there. Yeah, I wanted to put this in like number 8, but I just couldn't find a room for it. 12 Angry Men.
I don't think I've seen that. Oh.
You've not seen that one.
But that's one of your favorites?
Yeah, so it was made in 1957. But it's just about what's the best way to say this? It's about a room filled of jurors that have to decide the fate of this felony. And it's just, I know it sounds incredibly stupid, but if you watch it, man, you'll understand. It's just about how they have to sit there in this room and talk about what they're going to do.
Interesting.
It's absolutely amazing. Whether, you pick a guilty or not guilty for this person.
Okay, let's, since we're done with our list, let's just max bet.
Why?
Because
I don't want to do the max bet doesn't do everything that you have in your pot, by the way.
I know, but let's just max bet until we get this thing done. Because I want to finish this game for this episode.
You got the ace high though. So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's probably gonna be like
get
all
3.
5s.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a 3 and a 5. No. I didn't get a 3 and a 5.
Cool.
There you go.
Well, the longest game in history has finally ended. Alright. I guess we're leaving?
I don't know what else you want me to do. How come you only got 828?
828? I don't know. I don't know why. So what do we do?
Hold down the O button.